Right now, we are in the middle of the Nintendo Switch Direct damage control period, where people try to make up excuses, try to downplay everything that came out, try to come up with weird things. And I really should have been on this immediately. I really should have, but I was busy. I had to end my stream early. I had to go somewhere. I had to do things. I wasn't even aware of what was going on immediately after the Nintendo Direct. And now we have to rectify that. Now we have to call people out. And there is a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of individuals we need to call out by name. People like Andre Seegers, RGT85, Arlo, Max Dude. There are a lot of things to talk about, right? About a lot of different games, a lot of things we need to talk about. But I do think the big thing, the thing that got me immediately was the claim that Switch 2 is coming soon. We saw a lot of these reactors coming out and trying to say, there aren't a lot of games coming out. I guess that means the Switch 2 is coming soon. It's on the horizon. Switch is about to be replaced. There are no big games coming out. And, they were saying this during the Direct, after the Direct. They made videos, covering the Direct about this. And hey, genius, okay? We have games for the rest of the year, okay? By the time those games come out, we're going to get a new Nintendo Direct. You are delusional if you think they're going to release a new 2D Super Mario Bros. Game, in October, and then replace the Switch in March. That simply isn't going to happen. Okay, I don't even think it's going to happen in the end of 2024 at this point, right? There are no indications of that at all, and yet every YouTuber in existence is trying to pretend it's true. They're trying to pretend the Switch 2 is imminent, right? I saw Review Tech USA. He was the last one I watched. Oh, hopefully they release a Switch 2. Why? Why exactly are you, foaming at the mouth for Switch 2, right? Why exactly are you so anxious for Switch to release, Nintendo to release new hardware, right? Are you that desperate for Nintendo not to outsell the PS2? Are you that desperate to, try to continue downplaying the Switch? It's getting more and more difficult for these people to seriously come out and try to say there are no major games coming this year. It has Tears of the Kingdom and that's it. Bullshit. I've been playing great games all year long. Fire Emblem Engage, these people wrote off. Octopath Traveler 2, I didn't care for it very much, but I know a lot of people enjoyed it. Cereza and the Lost Demon, right? Great game. Advance Wars 1 and 2, great game. When Tears of the Kingdom, one of the best games ever made. And this month we're getting Operation Raincode, the Ghost Trick re-release, next month Pikmin 4, and all these people, those aren't major releases. Super Mario Bros. Wonder isn't going to be successful. There were legit people. Day one of this Direct, a new 2D Mario game. Oh, that's not going to do very well. They have no idea at all how popular these games really are. This is a really good indication, I think, just how out of touch the gaming community actually is. Because how many of these people really understand that New Super Mario Bros. U Deluxe, not the original release, Deluxe, has sold 15 million units, right? A port of a 2D Mario game is one of the better selling games on the Switch. Not the best selling one or anything like that. It's not the most popular thing on the platform, but New Super Mario Bros. U is hugely popular on Switch. Shockingly so. And not a lot of people really have caught on to that. This game, one of the most heavily damage controlled games ever, in my opinion. I love New Super Mario Bros. U, but it was really hated at launch, did really well with this re-release. And this is Super Mario Bros. Wonder has the potential to be the next new Super Mario Bros. In that, it sells 30 million units. People don't remember, or rather, gaming journalists desperately tried to downplay how successful and popular New Super Mario Bros. Was. I think the original sold 30 million. We sold 20, 25 or something like that. 2 I think did fairly well. U sold I think 8 million units initially. So New Super Mario Bros. Had a great run, right? People try to pretend New Super Mario Bros. Was stale, derivative, uninspired, but it was actually very popular, actually very fun, and actually very engaging. And The thing is, when you spend so much time like hating New Super Mario Bros., hating 2D Mario, hating everything Nintendo does with a franchise, like when they do something different, like Super Mario Bros. Wonder, right? When they do something to like kind of alleviate the problems that New Super Mario Bros. Did have, which is of course like basically just amounts to reusing the same art style over and over again. Like when they do something different, like all of that hate, all of that rage, all of those like all all of those all those justifications for not enjoying New Super Mario Bros. Just go straight out the window, right? You don't even open it. Like it just smashes through the glass, causing you problems in the long run. Like you will not be able to downplay New Super Mario Bros. Wonder. Okay, like this is going to be one of those games that people are just going to go like crazy over, right? I'm expecting already this game to sell like upwards of like 20 million units. I expect it to sell more than Super Mario Odyssey. Like there's this misconception that like 3D Mario sells more than 2D Mario, but that is actually not true. People don't understand how popular these games actually are, and it really needs to be said, when it comes to these YouTubers, that you just cannot take them seriously. Like especially when it comes to the Switch 2 discussion. But like there are so many like exciting announcements coming out, and I saw so many people trying to write off like several of them. Super Mario Bros. Wonder is the obvious one, but like plenty of people are still trying to convince you that like Luigi's Mansion Dark Moon was a bad game, for example. The BitBlock is still complaining about that. That game sold 8 million units on 3DS, and it's probably going to sell like what? At least several million more on the Switch. That game's going to be a huge deal. It's gonna like get a whole new generation of fans, and like there's nothing that like hardcore like haters like the BitBlock are going to be able to do to downplay it. If anything, like more people are going to start calling him out on his nonsense, right? Like it simply isn't a narrative that can hold up under scrutiny, right? Kid Icarus Uprising is the same way. Like I re-release of that game would demolish Jim Sterling and whatever reputation he has left. Like A Link Between Worlds, is one of the best Zelda games ever made. And like a lot of people don't acknowledge it as such because, oh man, it's a 3DS game and it's top down. Oh, like I think of it like if more people actually got the chance to play it and like experience it, I think much like Skyward Sword, it would out of nowhere become like, an extremely popular title, right? Like we've been seeing this, right? This is the thing with Nintendo consoles in this day and age. And I think will be going forward is that like no longer can like some dumbass YouTuber go on stream and try to convince you that like, oh, there's nothing in this direct I'm interested in. Like Nintendo has no games because, over and over and over again, they embarrass themselves by making like completely incorrect claims. Like they say this about like every game that comes out. And if they keep doing that over and over and over again, like it becomes self-evident that like, do they even like games at all? Like, watching this direct, it wasn't my favorite direct ever. I wasn't like crazy about Super Mario Bros. Wonder. I honestly think at this point that I might prefer the new Super Mario Bros. Style. Well, we'll see what else Wonder has in store because we've only seen a fraction of it. But like, that's kind of my takeaway from the Super Mario Bros. Wonder is that I'm excited for it. I'm sure it'll be great. Like I'm really hyped for it. But like, I really love the new Super Mario Bros. Style, and I do think that that'll probably be my focus on like video coverage going forward is talking about how good those games actually are. I just feel like those games were like always very unfairly treated. So I hope more people start respecting them. There are like, I'm sure there are like more things to cover. I'm sure I'll like talk about individual topics and individual YouTubers, but like, at the moment, like these guys went full tilt this year, like all of them. Like there are. I've been talking about this with the Discord, and I think the community, the Harmon Smith community, like the Cody Lee fan base, like the Discord guys, like we were talking like a while back about how it really genuinely feels as if there is no Nintendo YouTube community at all, because all anyone does is go on stream and like bitch about Switch 2, bitch about how Nintendo doesn't have anything coming out, bitching about re-releases, bitching about decade-old games, bitching about like nonsense, right? Like the copyright policy or like alleged conspiracies like the Mario mandate, right? That have been debunked several times over. Like, it doesn't feel organic. It doesn't feel like there are a lot of active YouTubers who like actually enjoy the company. Like, it feels like the vast majority of them are just guys who are like looking for a paycheck, or like who are just obsessed with what Nintendo was like 20 years ago, and are like desperately hanging on to that, and like complaining about everything that gets re-released and that gets released. And it's just really disappointing, right? Like, I do think this is going to be like a major focus on the channel going forward, is just kind of talking about like these people and just talking about their mindset and their just bizarre opinions, and they're just the way they like conduct themselves like as fans of Nintendo, right? Like, I think, being a working adult, with, hobbies, a life, personal relationships and stuff like that, like, I think that like I honestly right now have enough Nintendo games to last me a lifetime. Like, I will always be a fan of the company to some extent, even if I like stop playing Nintendo today, right? Like, I just, why obsess over everything the company does? Like, why, if you don't like a game, just don't play it or talk about it, right? Like, I'm just becoming very frustrated. Well, I always have been, but like, like we're kind of in this new phase of like e-celebrity dumb, aren't we? Because like people aren't worshiping these people before anymore. They're not given free reign to say whatever they want, and like, taken seriously as like the absolute authority on like video games anymore. So I think in a lot of ways the cracks are starting to show. I think more and more people are starting to realize that, like, when RGT just does his like, oh, I'm not a Nintendo fan bit, like, it's just a way to, generate clicks, like whenever he tries to like make some conspiracy up, or like, cause some drama or whatever, it's just a way to get clicks, right? And all these people like have their own motivations for doing this stuff, and pushing narratives and like making things up. Like, I really want to know like why so many of them are so like certain that like the Switch 2 has to be coming soon, because I have seen absolutely no evidence of that at all. And I've been speaking out against that since like, 2018, since like the Pro days, right? Like, that's all this is really, is that the Switch Pro narrative went so long and was debunked so many times by so many different people, they had to like pretend it was now like a completely different platform, even though it's like the same exact thing we've been hearing forever. Like, I'm getting very frustrated with this, because the Switch is very clearly still in its like absolute peak. Like, it hasn't even begun to decline yet. It's stomping the PS5 and Xbox Series X. Nobody wants to admit it. It's destroying the PC. Nobody wants to admit it. Like, we're in this weird situation where the gaming community is like denying the obvious, that like Nintendo has won the console war and is like here to stay, isn't going anywhere, and has so many fans that it really can't possibly go out of business at this point. Nobody wants to admit that. Like, everybody thinks like Nintendoom is imminent, that the Switch glory days are going to pass any day now, but it simply isn't going to happen. And I really, really wonder, Super Mario Bros. Wonder just how long this farce can continue.